report released today by the United Nations, the world suffered through unprecedented climate extremes between 2000 and 2010. From hurricanes Katrina and Sandy here in the U.S., to epic heat waves in Europe and devastating floods in Australia and the Middle East, virtually every part of the globe was affected by global warming-induced extreme weather. The report, published by the UN's World Meteorological Organization, noted that every year of the decade, the first decade of the century, except 2008, was among the 10 warmest since record-keeping began in the 1850s. The report also says that between 2000 and 2010, 370,000 human beings died worldwide as a result of extreme weather events, up 20% from the decade before, the 1990s. Fortunately, many nations across the globe are doing their part right now to fight the biggest threat that our nation and our planet has ever faced. Countries like Germany are leading the way when it comes to producing clean and renewable sources of energy, green energy, while China, America's biggest competitor, has already rolled out a cap-and-trade emissions program in Shenzhen, one of that nation's largest cities, as a test for the entire nation. Unfortunately, we can't say the same thing here in the United States. That's because politicians in Washington are doing absolutely nothing to stop climate change or to prevent future devastating superstorms and extreme weather events. In fact, all of the recently elected Republicans in the House of Representatives say that they doubt humans are even causing global climate change, despite mountains of research and studies that prove that that's the case. And if you don't believe me, just ask freshman Republican Congressman Jim Bridenstine, or Stein, of Oklahoma. On the House floor last month, the freshman congressman demanded that President Obama apologize to all Oklahomans for allocating federal funding to climate change research.
Here's what we absolutely know. We know that Oklahoma will have tornadoes when the cold jet stream meets the warm Gulf air. And we also know that this president spends 30 times as much money on global warming research as he does on weather forecasting and warning. For this gross misallocation, the people of Oklahoma are ready to accept the president's apology, and I intend to submit legislation to fix this.
Bridenstine is proof that if you're a big oil company or a shill for the fossil fuel industry, buying a Republican lawmaker is the best investment you can make. As the website opensecrets.org points out, Bridenstine has received thousands in campaign donations from some not-so-climate change-friendly groups. During the 2012 campaign cycle, Bridenstine received money from ExxonMobil, Latshaw Drilling, WPX Energy, Chesapeake Energy, Devon Energy, and, surprise, Koch Industries. All of his top 20 donors, in fact, all of those were included in his top 20 donors. But for some big oil bankrollers, simply buying off Washington politics and politicians isn't enough. That's where the Koch brothers, two of the fossil fuel industry's biggest friends, come in. Through their Americans for Prosperity Front group, the Koch brothers have succeeded in getting politicians from Congress to state offices to sign on to a Grover Norquist-like pledge. But instead of pledging not to raise taxes, these lawmakers have pledged to block any legislation that might lead to cap and trade or a carbon tax unless it's accompanied by an equivalent amount of spending cuts, something that ain't going to happen. The pledge, known officially as the No Climate Tax Pledge, was created by the same men whose very own companies emitted over 24 million tons of carbon dioxide in 2011, according to the EPA. So it should come as no surprise that the Koch brothers would want to protect their perceived right to pollute our environment and do irreversible damage to our planet. More than 400 Republican lawmakers in Washington and across the country have signed their pledge, promising to oppose any legislation relating to climate change that includes a net increase in government revenue. That number includes 76 Republican freshmen in Congress, the entire GOP House leadership, and just about every Republican lawmaker in the state of Wisconsin, including Governor Scott Walker. Nearly a quarter of U.S. senators have also signed on to the Koch brothers' pledge. Once again, millionaires and billionaires are corrupting our American democracy, buying off our politicians, and putting money and greed ahead of the well-being of the American people, and in this case, the entire world. We can't continue to let billionaires like the Koch brothers buy off politicians left and right, while everyone else is left to suffer. Some issues are bigger than politics, and the fate of the only planet we can call home is certainly one of them. It's time once and for all to get money out of politics, because if we don't, the end of the world and of life as we know it may be just down the road. Go to movetoamend.org to reclaim your voice in our American democracy and thus help to save our planet.